Hello everyone! Today we're going to talk about ground balancing. Now this is something I get so many questions about. There's a lot of confusion about it. People don't understand it. They don't understand how important it is. One viewer got in touch and said, "Can you explain to me, should I use what the machine gives? Because I was at a dig and a more experienced detectorist came up to me and he did the automatic ground balance and then he added 30 for good luck." And he said to me, "That seems to me not to make any sense." And I said, "You're exactly right. It doesn't make any sense. If you're going to ground balance, you don't just randomly add 30. There's no use. There are times when you want to set the ground balance to a specific number. On a beach, if you are crossing from the wet sand into the dry sand, back and forth, if you use the auto ground balance on the dry and then you switch onto the wet, you will get falsing. You will usually get a signal 16. If you are going back and forth, if you manually set it to 0, you will lose a little bit of depth on your signals on the dry sand, but you won't get falsing when you cross back and forth, and it's worth it because nothing's that deep on a beach anyway. In the Nokta Makro Simplex handbook, it does say in most situations you can just turn the machine on and go. You don't need to ground balance. It's not required to ground balance. That's probably also confusing people. Optimally, you want to ground balance, because if you leave it set at 90, you'll find that when I do this machine on this field, it's not 90. I've never had a situation where it's 90. And with the machine, if your ground balance is too high or too low, you're throttling your hot rod again. Because I had it explained to me by Terry Nipshield. It was a fantastic way of explaining it. If you went into a busy pub, it's quite loud, this is before everything that's happening in the world, went into the pub with your friend, you're sat there having a meal and having a conversation, and you put on a pair of headphones, noise-cancelling headphones. He's got to shout a lot louder for you to hear him because you've muffled it. If your ground balance is out, the signal has to shout a lot louder for your machine to hear it because you've muffled it. The alternative is, if your ground balance is out the other direction, would be going into a pub and there's a band playing, really loud band playing, and you're trying to have that same conversation with your friend. You can't hear them because the background noise is so loud. So again, you've got to shout to get heard over the noise. That's the other problem with your ground balance being out, being too high, being too low. You're either muffling the signals for your machine, or you're letting the noise drown out the signals for your machine. If your ground balance is correct, it'll be like sitting in a pub on a Sunday afternoon, there's nobody else there, the jukebox is off, and you're sitting and you're having a conversation and you can hear everything each other says, no problem at all. And that's what you want, because if you're going to get those signals that are just on the edge, you need to be able to hear them. And if you've put noise-cancelling headphones on your detector, it won't hear them. If you've cranked up the band's volume, your detector won't hear it. So set your ground balance to the correct setting for the situation you're in, and check it often. If the ground you're standing on changes, you're on a slope, you're up at the top of the slope, it's quite dry, you can see it's dusty, you go down the bottom of the slope, you notice it's muddy. Check your ground balance, because it will have changed. If you're walking a long time across a field, 30 minutes, check your ground balance. It doesn't take that long, but check it after 30 minutes and see. It may be the same, and that's fine. You know what? I've never had it be the same. It's always slightly different. It's probably not different enough to actually stop me from finding something, but you never know. You could actually hit a clay pan and the soil looks the same on the top, but there's a clay pan and it's a completely different signal. And you know what? Your Saxon horde's under that clay and you can't hear it because you didn't ground balance correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ground balance the machine, I'm going to find a signal, and then I'm going to purposefully put the ground balance out and we're going to hear whether it changes it. And I'm going to find a really on the edge signal. So we'll see if we can knock it out. Just see, and we'll try it in different modes as well, just to see what it does. There's the theory, and then we'll try the practical with the Simplex. I am using the SP24 coil, which is the 9.5 by 5 inch elliptical. Fantastic coil. What 2.77 and 2.78 were made for. Just absolutely makes this machine, if it was a hot rod before, it's a Formula One now. But let's get on to that. And I'll show you, once I've got the machine set up, I'll show you what it's ground balanced to in the field, and then we'll knock it down to 30. We'll knock it down to 0. We'll take it up to 90. And we'll see how it reacts. But always, always ground balance, because you don't want that signal to get away from you because you didn't take this little tiny step that just takes no time at all. Hello, little froggy. You're not metal. It is a plough. I was going to say it's an axe head, but it's not. It's a plough. Right. And nothing else, so I think that was big iron. It's not really that. Same thing. Must have been a big rock here in the past. Hiya folks, I've completely had to come away from that other field because the only place that's accessible on it right now is the paths that have been mowed, and I've been over them about 3 times, so there was absolutely no signals whatsoever to dig. So I've come home and I've come to the play park next to my house where I have been doing massive amounts of work, so pulling up rosebay willow herb, nasty stuff that it is, and decided that I would surely find a signal out here that I could illustrate my point with, and I have. So I'm just going to flip you around and let you listen to this signal. This is the machine ground balanced and on field sensitivity 7. So we'll flip you around and then we'll hear it in all the modes ground balanced, and then we'll put it out of ground balance and we'll see how it changes. Okay, so as you can see, we're on field, full sensitivity. That's our signal, 74, 75, right there. Up to 76. So if we go to Park 1, 72 to 77, mostly 75. And if we go to Park 2, 76, 77, some 70s. And we go to all metal, sorry. 69, 71. Okay, so what we're going to do to put ourselves out of ground balance, we're going to put this back into field first of all, and we're going to go press 1, press 2, remember that's how we ground balance, and then we are going to go down. So you can see it was 52.8, I'm going to take it down to, I will take it down to 22, why not, that's where it stopped, that's a good one, and we'll quickly go through these. So we back up that way, and we go 76, 77, 76, 80, 76, 74, 68, 75. The VDI is definitely more jumpy. So let's put that over one more time into field. Ground balance and drop her to 0. So there she goes. Zip. 0. Okay, come back out. So now we are in field. 76, 78. 76, 77. Well, the signal's definitely getting a bit more bitty there on Park 2. It is coming up 76, 77, but it's not seeing it as well. It's not hearing it as well. And all metal. Not too much change. So if you were hunting in Park 2, that signal wouldn't be as strong if you were not ground balanced. So let's take it the other way. So let's take it up to 90. And we'll just let her zip along. It will go past 90, but you only use that in certain situations, of which I'll do another video on at another time. Oops, so we'll take it back down here. Down, down, down. Ugh, too far, Laurie. Sorry about all the cars. I think it's rush hour in the village. There we go. That's 90. So if you just did what the handbook said, you turned your machine on and you didn't touch anything, that's what you'd have. You'd have 90. So let's go. We'll start with all metal. 75, 76, 77. So that hasn't changed really much. So field. Oh, that's a fair bit more jumpy and more scratchy. That's also more scratchy and less a solid signal. And that one's changed its numbers and is more jumpy. So what I'll do is I'll come over here if I can find a bit of clear ground, and I will take us back to, so 2 buttons, hold that down, ground balance 1, 2, 3, that's what we want. That takes us to 56. That's what our ground balance should be. So we back out of that, come back in Part 2, listen to that, absolutely bang on. So this signal is only sort of 3 bars down. It's not going to be an iffy on the edge signal, but if it was, this is a good strong signal and you've heard the changes in it. If it was an iffy signal, it would have been gone. So I'm just going to turn you off. I'm going to get this dug out of the ground and I'll show you what it is that we have been bothering our time on. Okay folks, so I have dug it up and it is the bane of my life in this park. It is the can. The one that comes in like a pound coin. It's that circular bottom of that aluminium. It comes in like a pound coin. It's in that high 60s, low 70s. And that, it was quite a ways down. It was about 5 inches down, sort of like that. No, sort of like that, sorry. But you heard the signals. The signals were really, really strong. It's a big hunk of aluminium, and aluminium comes in all over the shop. Now, whole cans that have that circular piece on the bottom like that do come in where a pound coin comes in. You cannot dig them, you'll miss pound coins. You dig them, sometimes it'll be a pound coin, sometimes it'll be a can. It's your choice. There's not really a way to differentiate it. Even with the smart coil, even with your sensitivity, even using AS mode, everything you can do. It's a big piece of a really reactive metal. Aqua Chigger digs aluminium cans. Jules Hart Evans, I'm sure, digs aluminium cans. The best metal detectors in the world, detectorists in the world, dig aluminium cans. It's tricky. Can slaw is tricky. But it did show us the difference in the tones. It's a junk find, we don't want it, but it showed us how, had that been a pound coin or had that been something else, at that number, we would have missed it if our ground balance, we potentially could have missed it if our ground balance was out. So that's really what this video was about, to talk to you about ground balance, the importance of ground balance. You can leave it at 90, you can turn the machine on and you can go. It even says it in the handbook, Nokta Makro says it. I've never been on a field where I've turned on the machine ground balanced and it's been 90. So that means the hot rod is being throttled because it's not quite right. It's up to you. Time is short, turn it on, go. It really doesn't take any time at all to ground balance. And you'll find those on the edge signals. But your choice, your machine, whatever works for you. Whatever you do, if you get your ground balance, don't add 30 to it. I have no idea why this person did this and told this other guy. I'm just so glad he came to me and went, this doesn't seem right, what do you think? And no, it's definitely not right. So don't add anything. If the machine tells you it's something, believe it. Remember to check if you change soil types, you change altitude, and every 30 minutes or so anyway, just to make sure that you're getting it, as good as you can. Because, if you're looking for that hoard, you're looking for gold, which is hard to find anyway. Our machines aren't on the frequency that is ideal for gold. There are machines that are ideal for gold. They're the nugget machines. There's a cruiser, is it cruiser gold? Amphibio gold? One of them that Nokta Makro makes that is a gold machine. And it's a different frequency. Ours is a general frequency. So gold is always going to be harder for us to find. It's not a multi-frequency. It is an entry-level detector. If you want to maximize your chance of finding gold, put your ground balance correct. Silver, get your ground balance correct, because iron's going to show up, cans are going to show up, junk's going to show up, big stuff's going to show up. Those little sweet, threepenny bits made of solid silver, or in the US, your Barber dimes, those little silver things, you want your ground balance right so it can hear. You want it to do the best it can do. That's what we all want. So just do your ground balance. And that's really all I've got to say to you even. You might have noticed that I'm wearing a bit more on the face than I normally do. That's because I've been filming some demos for a new detecting TV show that is going to be coming, we hope, onto the internet, it's going to be on internet TV. It's currently seeking sponsors. It's a really good company that's putting it together, and yours truly is going to be one of the presenters. So if you'd like to see this, featuring finds and digs and tips and techniques and what else? Oh, and product reviews as well. And it's going to be by the metal detectorist for the metal detectorist. Then let the place you get your equipment from know. So if you shop at Unearthed or Crawford's or LP or Nokta Makro or any of those places, let them know, because I know that the chap that's putting the TV show together he's put the proposal pack out to look at what kind of sponsorship so we can make it go ahead. So if you'd like that, just tell people, actually, I kind of like that. And if you want more information on it, then send me a message or put a message below. And we have a Facebook group of people that we're seeking opinions about what things they want to see. So if you'd like to be part of that forum and get your opinion heard and features and things done on stuff you want to see, then let me know and I'll put you onto the chat and we'll get you in the group. And then when the questions get asked, your voice will be heard. So anyway, that's why the bit more of the face. It's nice to look nice sometimes, isn't it? And thank my youngest daughter for the great job that she did on the hair and the makeup. Appreciate it very much. So take care of yourselves. I know that I still haven't answered the questions that were asked to me in the last comments on the last video. There was something about field and its speed and can you swing faster, and I will try and stick that on at the end of this. If not, I'll make a separate video during the week about it, because the weather's going to be not so nice, so I probably won't want to be in the polytunnel. And I'll look up the other questions that I said I would answer, but I got a chance to get out for this filming today, so I figured I would do this ground balance one and help you folks out, because it's so important. And when I first started, I struggled with ground balancing. I mean, I knew to do what the machine said, and I took all the advice, do it every 30 minutes and all of that, but I didn't really understand why I should be doing it. And once you understand why, you won't skip it again. Once you have that analogy of the pub in your head, and do you want to wear noise cancelling headphones in the pub and try and have a conversation with your friend? Do you want to try and have a conversation with your friend while the band or the jukebox or the TV is blaring? It doesn't work. The detector, it loses its ability to, unless that signal is screaming, and we've just seen what a screaming signal is. It's a can. You don't want it. Take care of yourself, stay safe, let me know how you're getting on, and I'll see you on the next one.